I call this meeting to order for the Polk County Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. All commissioners are present. Announcements are on the agendas and extra copies are in the back of the room. First item up is for comments for items not on the agenda. Somebody came in just in time for comments. She doesn't want to. Okay. No other people in the audience. Next up is approval of the agenda.
Also move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Approve 11 minutes from May 8th.
Move approval. Well, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Approval of the consent calendar.
Also move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Next up, we have a subject on a franchise application for a transfer station. Mr. Hanson, your name's on this, but I'm pretty sure you want to defer.
I would prefer to defer, but
Mr. Smith.
Happy to take the mantle on this
it.
one, commissioners. So the county has received an application for a solid waste transfer station. A company by the name of Apple Tree Holdings is proposing to operate a transfer station located at the former Rick Riel Dairy, located off of Rick Riel Road and kind of in between Rick Riel Road and Highway 22 in Rick Riel. Early glances at the application says it'll accommodate solid waste disposal and transfer from both solid waste haulers in the area, but also self-haul and also recycling, yard debris, and a whole other number of different types of refuse they're anticipating to accept. It has a proposed kind of franchise agreement. So the way this process would work is if you are operating one of these facilities, you need to obtain a franchise from the county. We would enter into a franchise agreement with them that would kind of cover the basics for their operations and for their rates to the public. What they have for a proposed franchise agreement is a 5-year conditional initial term, which is conditioned on DEQ approval and approval of a conditional use permit to operate on the proposed site. To date, I do not believe we have received an application from this organization to our community development department for that conditional use application, but we can assume that is coming. So this is kind of a separate and distinct issue of just whether we authorize a franchise for the operation of this facility. The proposed franchise agreement that they've provided in the application provides the county with a franchise fee of $1 per ton on accepted waste and 1% of gross receipts the first year of operation, increasing each year thereafter by $1 and 1% until it reaches $5 and 5%. They're proposing a little bit of a different rate setting process that we currently use for our franchised solid waste haulers, our curbside pickup folks. Their proposal has a more of an in-depth rate setting process with the county every 4 years. With the intervening years, the rate being set based on CPI. Currently, for our haulers, it's a once a year process. If they wish to increase their rates, they propose their increases to the county. This would be once every 4 year. They also are proposing to have an operations agreement that'll be a little bit more nuts and bolts for how they operate the facility. And under the proposed franchise agreement, there would be county input. I wouldn't say county control. It's a mutual control over what is in the operations plan. But we would have a seat at the table to determine how their operations would work. So those are the basics. We just received the application yesterday. We knew it was coming. I was told Friday of last week that this would be coming. So that's why it's on the agenda. But I don't have a more in-depth analysis for you today. This is mostly just an update to let you know it is here. My recommendations on next steps is county staff and you commissioners can evaluate the proposal with an eye to what the benefits to the public would be, along with any potential cost to the public, and then the viability of the proposed business model and anything else we're concerned with. The other thing I would recommend is our current county ordinances for solid waste franchises does encompass transfer stations. We just don't have one at the moment. We have had, I believe, from our comprehensive plan dating back to the 70s, a need for such a facility, but we've never had one. So our ordinances are pretty sparse on how we would regulate a franchise for a transfer facility. Most of our ordinances are more directed towards solid waste hauling franchises. So I'd recommend we go through a process to potentially update our ordinances to allow for a little bit more specificity for how we would manage a transfer station franchise, just because it's relatively silent in our current ordinance language. So those are kind of the next steps, determining what kind of process we would like to go through to, whether we want to accept this franchise, if there's terms or changes to the franchise agreement or their operations plan. Those are all things that'll be considered in the coming days, but I wanted to let you all know that it's here and you can review it and get back to staff with any questions and we can take it from there. Any questions at this point?
At this time.
All right.
Just real quick, so the ORS chapter 459 of the state statute that sort of regulate solid waste disposal.
Mhm.
So do we have any responsibility to ensure our ordinances comply with that? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Introducing us, getting it started. Do we have a need for an executive session?
None for me, sir.
Okay. Any further business? We are adjourned.